Folks, the Alexander Ovechkin situation is just getting hard to watch. At 38 years old, there seems to have been a massive decline in Ovechkin's game. And with still 67 goals to go until he reaches Wayne Gretzky's record, it's looking like he might not even get it after all. But what has been wrong with Alexander Ovechkin this year? Is this something he can rebound from? And will he actually get to Wayne Gretzky's record? Well, make sure you watch till the end as we go through everything, dissecting every part of his game to see what happens next. And make sure that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey breakdowns just like this all throughout the year, because you won't want to miss a thing. Now let's get started in talking about Ovi and the slump that he is on. And it's not just a week-long slump or something that's kind of gotten him in the rut. This 13-game goalless streak is the longest in his entire NHL career. And when we look at it, it's not entirely surprising, but the drop-off has been pretty sudden. You see, at 38 years old, Ovi still, all the accolades that he has, is still a big part of this Washington Capitals team. But you go over the past few years and still the dominance that we've seen from him. 50 goals back in 2022, a respectable 42 goals in 2023. But this year, so far, in 28 games, he has 5 goals, 12 assists for 17 points. And especially when you consider that 13-game goalless drought, as well as the fact that 2 of those goals were empty netters as well, and this season has just been rough to watch on Ovi's end. He's missing the net a lot. He's getting super unlucky. There's been tons of shots getting blocked. Everything that could go wrong for Ovechkin this year has. And even though there has been a sudden drop-off in a little bit of the speed, he's still setting up chances. He's still getting opportunities, but just nothing is going in for him. And you can tell the unluckiness just by the shooting percentage. Up here is the latest season in 2024, and it goes down by season. And you can see his 4.8% shooting percentage, by far the worst. And especially on the power play too, his shooting percentage has been brutal. Where he's especially money in the past, he's kind of been passive. I also want to highlight here the regression in his even strength time on ice as well. You can see 14 minutes and 48 seconds of average even strength time on ice. That's the lowest it's been since 2017. Now, the problem here, though, is that Ovechkin has played himself into this position. It's not exactly like he's earning all these amazing minutes. He has not been very good this season. And while Washington has had a major progression, they've looked so much better, Ovechkin has kind of just been pedestrian throughout this entire season, which has been one of the biggest surprises. And you can go back to the production and see that overall, it's not horrible considering he only has 5 goals, 17 points in 28 games. His assist mark isn't too bad at this point, but he's on pace for 15 goals this year, guys. Easily the lowest in his career by far. And even though I don't expect it to be that low for too much longer, it's still not been a successful season for him. But what's also concerning is just the fact that he looks slower. His top end skating just isn't where it needs to be. He kind of lugs behind the play, and physically as well, he's not putting up the physical numbers that he had in the past. And even though that is to be expected with the aging, it is still a concern that just overall, this entire season, he's just not been involved in the play as much as he's been in the past. And even last year, he was at a 7.64 hits per 60 stat. This year, it's down to 5.65. So he's less physical, he's shooting less, his shots are getting on target less as well. They're not hitting the net. And just in general, it feels like Ovechkin is a lot more invisible than he had been. It's pretty crazy to look at Capitals scoring right now, especially in the goal scoring department, and see Ovechkin right now tied 5th for goal scoring. Tied with Evgeny Kuznetsov, who had 12 goals all of last year. You just go down the lineup, but it's pretty crazy to think that players like Dylan Strome, Tom Wilson, Alex Ovechkin are producing at this rate, yet Washington is still somehow winning games. A lot of it has been carried by some clutch goals, some clutch goaltending in the end, and that's really how they've been able to float. But this production has been brutal, and there's really not a lot of players setting up Ovechkin like he needs to. I think you also have to factor in the steep decline of Nicklas Backstrom, who for such a long time was Ovi's dual threat, was Ovi's partner, and you can see just the decline in games play, the decline in health, and this year only playing 8 games, only getting 1 assist for 1 point, looked absolutely brutal out there, and his career is likely over. But you can see even last year he was still at a decent rate offensively, was still chugging along when he was playing, but just the loss of Nicklas Backstrom, Washington hasn't really had anybody being able to replicate that type of success of Ovi, being able to be a partner in crime with him, and we've seen, I guess, the decline in play since then too. Sure, Ovechkin is going to rebound, and that shooting percentage isn't going to stay at 4.8% forever, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to get to a great level either way. today. Because of the talent that is surrounded with Ovechkin on this Washington roster, there just isn't a lot to work with, especially compared to a few years ago. There's a lot less to work with and a lot less options too. You're not going to not play Ovechkin on the first line or not play Strome or Wilson on the first line either. So this line kind of has to work, or else there's really no other fit. And looking as well on the NHL edge side as well, just in terms of the skating speed, this was something I was interested in. And you can see in terms of the league average, these are the league average rankings on the right. This is Ovechkin's rankings on the left. And in terms of 20 to 22 mile per hour bursts, Ovi has 6 this year, while the average among forwards is 31. And you can see as well 18 to 20 mile per hour bursts, 76 for Ovi, and the average is 131. It's not like he's slower than some of the faster players in the league. In terms of average forwards, he is way behind the competition in that average skating speed and what he's been able to show. And it's not impossible to score when you're a slower player. I mean, look at a player like Joe Pavelski and the smarts and the IQ that he has in every single shift. You can still get it done. The problem because of Ovechkin is that one-dimensionality has been heightened. When you're slower, when there's less pace in your game, when you're not making decisions as quickly as you should, a player like Ovechkin, who of course is shot for first, as we know, has been limited in so many ways this year, and that offense and that production has really slowed because of it. The NHL is all about speed nowadays, and the thing is, even if your skating speed isn't great, again, it's all about that decision making. The problem is that is also slowed too. That's why we're seeing a lot more players block Ovechkin's shots this year, is because for Ovi, there's been a lot more hesitancy, there's been a lot more just overthinking himself, and that's caused a lot of problems as well. With Ovechkin, just the decision making, the quickness in every part of his game has been slowed, and I think that's one of the main reasons why we're seeing this shooting percentage so low. There's a reason because of that. He's missing the net. He doesn't really feel confident in his shot right now, which is crazy to say about Ovechkin at this stage. But that's what we're seeing. It feels like Ovechkin's confidence has come to an all-time low at this stage in his career, all the way at 38 years old. And at this point, it's not the most surprising thing that we would see a decline in his production, but I just wanted to see that goal scoring continue. I wanted to see it still at a steady rate, 30 to 40 goals a year, and eventually getting over Wayne Gretzky's record. But at this point, 67 goals away at 38 years old, it's looking less and less likely that that's going to happen. And you look at NHL goal scorers for their entire career, and of course you got the great one, Wayne Gretzky, at 894 goals. Right now, Ovechkin at 827. He's 67 goals away, man. And at this point, with the decline that we've seen in his game, sure, I think he could regress back to the mean, get back to an average, and probably get maybe 30 goals this year. But there is a chance that even if he does get better in his shooting percentage, he could get lower than 30 goals this season, which is wild. And at this point, he's going to be turning 39 starting next season. And again, the clock is really going to get tight here. I think before this year, pretty much all of us would have assumed that Ovechkin would get that goal record, would eventually get over the hump. But the problem is we all expected that goal scoring to continue at the very least. We all expected some regression, but the last couple of years, Ovechkin's still been a premier offensive player. The problem is that decline has come in steep, and it's come in fast, and it might not show any signs of getting better. And at this point, how much can you expect from Ovechkin at this stage in his career? Let's say he gets 30 goals this year. Then, maybe he's able to put up around 850. Then he needs he'd still need 44 goals. He would still need 44 goals, and he would need to play to at least 40 years old if he's going to continue this type of play, because I would say the most we could expect out of him is 30 goals a year. Then again, it becomes more of a ticking time bomb. Does Ovechkin stay in the NHL just to get that goal record? Because right now, he doesn't look happy playing hockey. I want to know in the comments down below, though, from you guys. Do you see Ovechkin still getting Wayne Gretzky's goal record in the end? Do you see him playing long enough to get it? Do you think he'll rebound? Because this is going to be one of the most interesting stories. What was once thought of as a lock for Ovi to be able to get that goal record is now kind of in doubt. I think at the very least, even if Ovechkin were to get Wayne Gretzky's record, I don't think there's going to be too much of a runway after that. I think at this point, with the decline that we've seen, he's probably just going to play to get Wayne Gretzky's record and then probably call it quits after that. I don't think there's going to be too much of a career after that point, because he'll probably be, 41 years old at that point. It could be that old that we're seeing Ovi finally get over that hump. But it's just kind of sad to see one of the once great NHL goal scorers, the great NHL goal scorer. If we're being honest, era adjusted, don't debate me, he is the best at this stage in his career, being so pitiful in the offensive department and having the struggles that he has. I think we will see Ovi rebound. I hope it happens soon. I hope it happens in the next game right after this video is made. But at the same time, just that steep decline has just been rough to watch. It's not even just the goal scoring. If the goals were happening, sure, that'd be great. But just the decline in his play, even though it was to be expected with the age, it still sucks to see. One of the players I grew up watching, and at this point, it feels like father time has officially arrived. What are your thoughts on Alex Ovechkin at this stage in his career? Do you think he does beat Wayne Gretzky's goal record, or does he finish below? Let us know down in the comments down below. Of course, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you guys enjoy the breakdown and want to see more like it. And of course, make sure you share a video with all the hockey, all the Caps fans you guys know online. And click on this card for my trade number content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.